it was a normal night studying, and we heard gunshots a couple minutes before. I think he entered the building, and we just weren't sure what it was, and we all just kind of were hesitant to do anything about it. And then we heard an alarm inside, and once again, we didn't know what to do. We just kind of were all just waiting for someone to make an announcement or something else to happen. And then we heard gunshots from below us downstairs, and everyone just kind of got up and, just mass panic and ran out of wherever we could.
Students at Florida State University describing the panic and shaken after a school shooting. 3 people were wounded before the gunman was shot and killed by police. Hello, everyone. I'm Michelle Franzen in New York. A police officer fatally wounded the gunman, whose identity has not been revealed. That shooting happened early Thursday morning at one of the school libraries where many students were studying for exams. 2 of the 3 wounded were taken to Tallahassee Hospital. The condition of the 3rd victim is still unknown. We are, though, hoping to learn more about that and more details at a press conference that Florida State University officials are giving right now. Let's listen in.
Florida State University. So without further ado, I think we're here to, and I think you're here to understand a little bit more about the investigation. I'm going to ask Chief DeLeo to respond to some facts that he has uncovered since this morning and provide you with some additional information. And then Chief Perry will also do that on behalf of Florida State University. Chief.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. First, as we talked this morning, again, we know as the investigation continues and that further details will be unfold, that this is all, early information. We've had investigators obviously working since 12:30 this morning, since the incident occurred. And, as more details emerge, we'll continue to share that information with everybody, and we'll share as much information as possible as it becomes available. The first thing that we'd like to do is confirm the identity of the suspect. Myron Deshaun May is our suspect who was killed this morning as a result of his actions when he decided to shoot our students and attack our community. He was born in Dayton, Ohio in 1983. He moved to Florida as a teenager and graduated from Weehawken High School. He graduated from FSU in 2005. Then he moved to Texas, where he attended Texas Tech Law School and graduated from there in 2009. He practiced law in both Texas and New Mexico, and he moved back into the area approximately 3 weeks ago. I want to kind of recap some of the synopsis of the event as we have established a better timeline of the order of events from this morning. As we all know at this point, at approximately 12:30 a.m., Mr. May started shooting students in front of the Strozer Library. He then enters the front area of the library where he shoots one employee and tries to shoot another woman who's affiliated with the university. He then reloads his gun, and he never proceeds past the security measures that are in place in the library. He never leaves the front lobby area. He then exits the library where he's confronted by FSU police officers and Tallahassee Police Department police officers. He refuses to surrender, and as a result of this encounter, Mr. May is shot and killed by the officers. The Tallahassee Police Department officer that was involved in the shooting is Officer Wayne Statz, and he's been working with us for approximately 3 years. As far as to address some of the questions that were asked this morning, as we've uncovered more details, I just want to go through some more indications. We have no prior local criminal investigation or encounters with Mr. May that we are aware of, either through Tallahassee Police Department or Leon County Sheriff's Office. He used a .380 semi-automatic handgun, and he had additional ammunition in his pockets. Investigators have conducted search warrants on Mr. May's vehicle and his cell phone, and we're reviewing evidence as a result of those search warrants. Investigators have interviewed 20 to 25 primary witnesses who actually witnessed the actual shootings. Mr. May had a written journal and videos where he expressed fears of being targeted and that he wanted to bring attention to this issue of targeting. A preliminary review of these documents and videos demonstrate that Mr. May was in a state of crisis. Further detailed review will continue of these documents to establish more facts. We have not found any information at this time to indicate why he chose this morning to act or why he chose the Schroeder Library as the place for his actions. Based on all the evidence this time, we continue to believe that Mr. May acted alone and that there's no further threat to the students, the university, the workers, or the community. And with that, Chief Perry, thank you.
Yes, sir. Just want to say one other thing. Our entire board has been involved in this matter since it happened this morning. In fact, we, Florida State University, will have a board meeting tomorrow, led by our chairman, Chairman Alan Benz, who has been here since early this morning. And Chairman, I appreciate your hard work and all you've done to help us in this through this crisis. But all of our board is here, and they'll be here tomorrow for a regular board meeting. And I think it's fair to say, and I think I can say this, Garnet, that we're going to get back to normal tomorrow. Our university is going to open, our classes are going to be held, and the Schroeder Library is going to be opened early in the morning. So we're moving ahead. We're moving ahead. We're continuing to pray for the victims, pray for Florida State University, but we're going to get through this with the great family we have. And now I'd like to introduce our chief, who has been so helpful in this, Chief Perry.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Additional information on Myron Deshaun May. The FSU Police Department has two old cases on Deshaun, which are now public. We have a case from 2002 involving suspicion of marijuana use, and we have a case from 2003 where he was the victim of a vehicle burglary. Both of those cases are now public and made available on our website if anyone needs that information. As President Thrasher indicated, Schroeder is right now being reviewed and assessed by our building maintenance and facilities staff. We plan to reopen first thing in the morning, and we will have a visible presence for our students so they feel safe and they feel comfortable as they return to some sense of normalcy. We do keep our victims in our thoughts and prayers. We understand that two are still at the hospital receiving treatment. Our officers who responded and who were actively involved in that situation have been placed on administrative leave. The officers involved are number one, Sergeant Roy Wiley. Roy Wiley has been with the FSU Police Department for 15 years. The second officer is Officer Daniel Cutchins. He's been with the FSU Police Department for 2 years. The third officer involved is Oriental Sloan. He's been with the FSU Police Department for 1 year and 5 months, but he has previous experience with another sheriff's office. The next officer involved is Oma Nations. He's been with the FSU Police Department for 1 year and 5 months. And the last officer involved is Parise Adams. He's been with the FSU Police Department for 1 year and 2 months. I think it's appropriate to note that 13 days ago, the FSU Police Department conducted active shooter training for situations and incidents just like this. So the officers had, a good memory marker of how to respond and what was appropriate for this type of situation. The easy button is a term that we use here on campus to highlight our FSU alerts system. We're proud to say that we have more than 35 methods to notify our campus community in the event of an emergency, and it worked for us today. When we activate that system, 16 of our systems automatically begin to populate and share information instantly with our campus community. More than 55,000 people received information about today's incident within 5 minutes. I do want to close by saying a huge thank you to the community, to the United States, literally, because we received hundreds of emails between us, the people standing with me, from colleagues, from friends, from family members who truly are thankful for our response and the things that we've done. So thank you to the community. Thank you for the food, the water, and just the outpouring of support. We will get through this as a community. We'll get through this as a university, get through this with the help of the city of Tallahassee. I think we will take a few questions at this time.
Chief Perry, was it fast? Senator Thrasher had mentioned that he thought that the response was so quick today. In your opinion, was this a quick response and accurate given the circumstances?
I think it was an appropriate response. Anytime that a call comes in, anytime a call comes in for something of this magnitude, it demands a prompt response, and that's what our officers provided, coupled with the City of Tallahassee officers.
Will that journal be provided, and what did he believe that he was a target of?
Again, we've just gotten the documents and things. He referred to government targeting. It was very general in nature. Like I said, we've just conducted a preliminary review of the documents and videos, and it's going to take more time to go through them in detail to really to fill out all those kind of question marks right now.
Chief, you characterized that he was in crisis. Can you expand?
When we talk about someone being in crisis, that's someone who's struggling either psychologically, emotionally, and it could be for a variety of reasons. People have crisis situations in their lives all the time, and people deal with them different ways. People who go through a divorce are going through a crisis situation. So, until we have all the information available, it's hard to say. But based on our initial review of some of the documents and the videos and his postings, it's clear that Mr. May's sense of being in place in our community was not what most people would refer to as a normal status, that he was in a sense of crisis and he was searching for something.
Did he have any current relationship with the university?
Excuse me?
Did he have any current relationship with the university?
No, not current. No. Not current? No, ma'am.
Did he have a concealed carry permit?
Not that I know of at this point.
Chief, is it still true that he actually fired at your officers?
Excuse me?
Is it true that the suspect fired at officers?
We're still working on the shooting part. We still have more witnesses to interview, and that includes some of the officers who were involved in the shooting, so we don't have all the facts of that investigation done yet.
How many shots did your officers fire, and how many shots did he fire?
Again, we're still in the early stages. I can tell you at this point that there was over 30 rounds fired in total. That includes from Mr. May and the officers. But again, we're still counting rounds, very early in the investigation. Like I said, we still have to interview some of the officers that were involved, so we don't have all those details at this point.
It started at 12:30. What time was it over? What time was he down?
Sorry, timing?
What time was it?
Our timing that we've looked at so far, we still have more investigating to do, but it appears that the initial call came in at 12:25 with a report of a gunman in the library, and between 12:25, our officers responded, addressed the subject, and shots were reported fired at 12:27 when the subject was down.
Where did they actually
Yes.
engage him? Was it in the lobby?
No, in front of the lobby, outside in front of the lobby.
What drew him out there, and what stopped him from shooting?
He came outside on his own.
There are a lot of conflicting reports about where the victims were. Can you expand on that?
No,
Where were
like I said, there were some victims who were outside and some victims who were inside in that front lobby area. So there were students outside the library in the courtyard area, and there were some victims who were inside that front lobby area of the library.
Nobody was inside the library itself.
Excuse me, I can only, one more time, please.
Nobody was inside the library itself.
Just in that front lobby area when you first go through the doors, but not past the security measures that were in place. I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
So you had 3 victims. How many were inside and how many were outside?
Well, we had 3 people who were injured, that were injured by gunfire.
Okay. Where were the injured?
We had one gentleman that was shot inside the lobby area and 2 people that were shot outside the library.
Male or female?
Male or female? The gender?
Yes, sir.
Are they male or female?
Excuse me, they were male.
All of them?
Yep.
And earlier reports said they were students. Can you clarify that?
Some were students and one was an employee.
One was an employee?
Yes, sir.
So the person inside, was that an employee who was also a student?
He was a graduate of the university, but he was an employee.
So 2 students, 1 employee, correct?
Yes, sir.
Chief, how many police in total? The 5 university police officers, and how many of your guys?
As far as that responded overall,
Yeah.
there had to be probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 75 officers that were here last night.
And how many involved in the incident?
Well, they were all here for the incident,
Sure.
sir. So are you talking about the actual shooting part of it, as far as the officers involved?
Yes.
At this point, that's the total number of officers that were involved in the shooting.
It's 5.
But from the FSU Police Department and the one from Tallahassee Police Department.
Which is total?
30 rounds, 30 plus rounds fired. Is there any indication that any came from him? I mean, any forensic evidence of bullets?
Like I said, that's a round count, that there was at least 30 rounds fired between everybody involved. As far as the details and everything else, we're still working that part out.
Which did you make any reference to FSU that would give you any kind of indication?
There's no indication, any information that we have at this point of why he selected the library or to do this on the campus.
Sir, can you say whether, from early reports, whether he fired at officers?
I answered that question previously, but no, at this time, we're still early on. We still have officers to interview. We don't have, that investigation's not been concluded yet.
So
we're going to take just a couple of more questions.
As far as you know, the people who were shot were not targeted?
That we have no information saying that anyone was targeted for a specific reason, no ma'am.
So if the library is open tomorrow, will there be any additional security tomorrow?
Excuse
the
me?
library is open tomorrow, will there be any more security outside or the inside?
Yeah, when we open tomorrow, we'll have not only police presence, but we'll have our president, we'll have our provost, and several administrators who will be there to help welcome our students back to having some sense of being normal in a safe environment.
Did he drive to campus, or and where did he park?
No. He parked a few blocks away and walked over.
Chief, any update to the injured students?
They're still at the, Chief Perry covered it, they're still at the hospital seeking, receiving treatment for their injuries.
Do we know the extent of their injuries?
He said, we can't discuss the extent of their injuries, sir.
Last we heard someone was critical. Is that person still in a critical situation, or have they improved?
We're still concerned for the well-being of our students. They are still being treated, and we're going to be sensitive to the family and allow them to receive that treatment. I'm going to close by saying the support that we receive from the community is phenomenal, but the law enforcement support from EMS, fire, the public safety officials has been astounding. Our dispatchers, who were the first persons to receive those calls for service, performed flawlessly to get the information out timely, so they were the first ones that helped trigger the response that allowed the law enforcement officers to go and do their job and protect those more than 450 to 500 students who were still in the library at that time. We thank you for your patience, and we'll give you more information later at an update. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Which officer shot May? Which department?
And that is Florida State University Police, along with Tallahassee Police, confirming the identity of who they say was the shooter that went into that library at the university today, identifying him as Myron May. Said that he once attended Florida State University but had moved to Texas and recently moved back. Said they had no recent interaction with him, but going over his records say that there are certainly signs that he was in crisis, and more information about that coming up. Florida State University, meanwhile, says it will reopen tomorrow and will have people on hand, including counselors, to help students. You can keep up with this story in real time by downloading the ABC News app and starring this story for exclusive updates on the go. For now, I'm Michelle Franzen in New York.